Good morning, we are Dr. Wang Tian and Rao Siyuan, and today we are going to present our topic, Health, Development and Sustainability in Vietnam, an analysis using WHO and Human Development Report 2005. Our presentation examines the Vietnam from three different perspectives. First, we are analyzing the Vietnam current health status using the World Health Organization's health indicators. Second, we will compare the Human Development Index or HDI with the Planetary Pressure Adjusted Human Development Index or PHDI. Finally, we will discuss why a higher HDI doesn't not always mean better sustainability and suggest several policy recommendations that can improve both public health and sustainable development. Now, I would like to begin by explaining why we selected the Vietnam as our case study. Vietnam is one of the faster growing economies in Southeast Asia and has experienced a remarkable economic transformation since the Dong Mai economic reform introduced in 1986. As shown on this slide, Vietnam currently has a population of approximately 100.99 million people. According to the Human Development Report 2025, Vietnam has an HDI of 0.766, ranking 93 in the world. The country's life expectancy at birth is 74.6 years, which reflects the significant improvement in healthcare and living standards. However, after adjusting for the environmental pressures such as the carbon emissions and material consumption, Vietnam's PHDI fall to 0.699. This reduction shows that although the Vietnam has achieved strong human development, environmental sustainability remains an important challenge. Therefore, Vietnam provides an excellent example of studying the relationship between the economic development, public health, and the environmental sustainability. Next, let's look at Vietnam's current health status based on WHO indicators. The first indicator is life expectancy, which is 74.6 years. This suggests that Vietnam has made a significant progress in improving public health through the better healthcare service, improved the nutrition, and the higher the living standards. The second indicator is the leading cost of death. Unlike many developing countries in the past, Vietnam is now mainly affected by non-communicable disease, especially stroke, heart disease, and cancer. These diseases have become more common because people are living longer and lifestyle have changed. The third indicator focuses on health risk factors. Smoking, air pollution, and unhealthy diet continue to increase the risk of chronic disease. These factors not only affect the people's health but also increase the healthcare costs and reduce the labor productivity. Finally, Vietnam's healthcare system has shown a significant improvement. According to the WHO, 96.1% of people are attended by skilled health personnel, and 88.2% of pregnant women receive the adequate antenatal care. This achievement demonstrates that Vietnam has strengthened its healthcare system over the years. Overall, Vietnam has made the impressive progress in healthcare, but the growing burden of chronic disease means that The further improvements are still needed. Now, let's move on the major health challenge facing the Vietnam today. Although the Vietnam has made the significant progress in healthcare, the country is now experiencing what is known as the epidemiological transition. This means that the infectious diseases are gradually being replaced by the non-communicated disease, or NCDs, as the main cause of illness and death. As shown on the left side of the slide, the major diseases include the stroke, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. These diseases are strongly associated with the unhealthy lifestyle, smoking, air pollution, poor diet, and an aging population. The health problem has several important consequences. First, they increase the mortality rate and reduce the people's quality life. Secondly, treating the chronic disease requires long-term medical care, which increase the healthcare expenditure for both families and the government. Finally, poor health reduce the labor productivity because the worker may take more sick leave or leave on the workforce earlier than expected. Therefore, Vietnam healthcare policy should focus not only on treating the disease but also on preventing them through the health education, regular screening, and the healthiest lifestyles. I will now explain the relationship between the HDI and PHDI, which is one of the main focus of our presentation. The Human Development Index, or HDI, measures a country's development based on three dimensions: health, education, and incomes. According to the HDR report 2025, Vietnam achieved an HDI of 0.766, which placed the country in the high human development category. However, when the environmental pressures are taken into account, Vietnam prenatably pressure adjusted human development index, or PHDI, decreased to 0.699. This represents as 8.7% reduction, which means that the part of the Vietnam's human development achievements is offset by environmental pressures. Two important environmental indicators are shown on this slide. The first is carbon dioxide emissions, which are approximately 3.4 tons per person. The second is the material footprint, which is 11.7 tons per person. These indicators show that although Vietnam has improved the people's life living standards, economic growth has also increased the resource consumption and the carbon emissions. Therefore, HDI alone cannot fully measure the sustainability development, and this is why the PHDI was introduced. This slide explains why a higher HDI does not always mean better sustainability. As we can see from the road chart, economic growth encourages industrializations. Industrializations create more jobs, increase income, and improve the people's access to education and healthcare. As a result, the country's HDI continue to improve. However, industrializations also have the negative consequence. Factors consume more energy, vehicles produce more emissions, and the cities generate more waste. This activity increases the pollution and carbon emissions, which place the greater pressure on the environment. From an economic perspective, this situation is known as a negative externality. Negative externality occur when the economic activity creates costs that are not fully paid for by producers and or consumers. but are instead borne by the society, such as the healthcare costs resulting from the pollution. This explains why Vietnam's HDI is relatively high, while the PHDI is lower after considering environmental pressures. To achieve the sustainability development, economic growth should therefore be accompanied by the green growth, cleaner technologies, and the stronger environmental protection policy.
Now let's look at the major sustainability challenges facing Vietnam. Although Vietnam has achieved rapid economic growth, it also faces several environmental challenges that may affect its future development. The first challenge is air pollution. Rapid industrialization, increasing vehicle ownership, and the continued use of fossil fuel has reduced the air quality, especially in major cities such as Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. The poor air quality increases the risk of respiration disease and cardiovascular disease, which may reduce health life expectancy. The second challenge is climate change. Vietnam is one of the countries most vulnerable to climate-related diseases, through typhoon and rising sea level, through the agricultural infrastructure and people's livelihood, particularly in low-lying areas such as the Malacca Delta. The third challenge is to dependence on fossil fuel. Although the mainland has invested in renewable energy, coal still plays an important role in electricity generation. This contribution to the high carbon emission and the lower the country PHDI. Finally, waste management has become another growing issue. Population growth and urbanization have increased the amount of solid waste and plastic pollution, creating additional environmental pressure. These challenges shows that the future development should not only focus on economic growth but also on environmental sustainability. After identifying these challenges, our next question is how can Vietnam improve both healthy life expectancy and HALE? The Plenary Pressure Adjusted Human Development Index will recommend four main policies. The first is to strengthen primary health care. Preventive health care, regular health screening, and early diagnosis can reduce burden of chronic diseases and improve health care life expectancy. The second recommendation is to increase tobacco tax. The higher tobacco tax diagnose smoking, reduce the accidents of smoking-related diseases, and lower future healthcare costs. At the same time, the tax revenue can be invested in public health programs. The third policy is to expand renewable energy. Increasing the use of solar and wind energy can reduce carbon emission, improve air quality, and support sustainable economic development. Finally, the Vietnam should invest more in green public transport, such as electricity bills, metro system, and certain infrastructure. This measure can reduce the traffic congestion, improve the air quality, and encourage healthcare lifestyle. If these policies are implemented together, they can improve both HALE and PHDI while supporting long-term sustainable development. This slide summarizes the expected outcome of our proposed policy. As shown on the left side, effective public policy can create a positive cycle. Better healthcare leads to a healthier population. The healthier population improves healthy life expectancy. At the same time, the environmental policy reduces pollution and carbon emission, which contributes to a higher PHDI. Together, these improvements support the sustainable development by balancing economic growth, public health, and environmental protection. On the right side, we summarize the three key findings from our study. First, Vietnam has achieved a relatively high-level human development. Second, the environmental pressure reduced the country's sustainable performance, which expanded the gap between HDI and PHDI. Finally, integrated health and environmental policy are necessary to achieve a sustainable development in the future. So, to conclude our presentation, Vietnam has made remarkable progress in improving education, healthcare, and living standards over past few decades. However, our analysis shows that economic development alone is not enough to achieve sustainable development. Although the Vietnam HDI is relatively high, environmental pressure reduces its PHDI, highlighting the importance of balancing economic growth with environmental protection. To improve both health, life expectancy, and sustainable development, Vietnam should continue investing in preventive healthcare, renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and stronger environmental policy. In short, the sustainable development requires a balance between economic growth, public health, and environmental protection. So let's conclude our conclusion. Thank you very much for your attention.